What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Grady, and I listen to country music and whatever else I want to. And today, we're talking about two guys making a big splash out of the Texas music scene, Koe Wetzel and Aaron Watson. They have the top two albums in country music right now, and you're not going to find them anywhere on any mainstream country radio station unless you live in Texas, in which case, that's its own thing. But before we get into talking about that, I want to talk about the channel and just a couple little maintenance things on the channel. So I am going through like a pretty big life transition. I've given my notice at my job, and I'm going to be going into full-time content creation, and I want to just get in the habit of posting more stuff. Obviously, the main thing that's going to need to change for me is more frequency on this channel and putting more stuff out there. And I, at the same time, have had a few big video hits and am suddenly getting slammed with copyright claims left and right. Like this Dierks Bentley video yesterday, I worked for like weeks on that video, making my list, figuring out why I liked the songs, editing it all together, and it got claimed, and it's ineligible for monetization. And there's a dispute going on, but I want to just put out a few videos for a while that aren't so edit heavy. I've really prided myself on improving as an editor in this last year, but I'm going to try and include a few less clips until I can figure out how to get in the good graces of some of these over-aggressive publishing companies and labels that just slam my videos with copyright claims. So it is what it is. I'd love to just be a badass and fight them, and I am fighting them, and I am talking to lawyers and stuff, but because I believe I'm in the right. I believe what I do is completely fair use. I'm not using other people's content the way, if I were a cover band at a show. I'm journalistic in what I do. I'm adding commentary and criticism. That means I'm covered by fair use. But at the same time, I just don't want to poke the bear right now. I'm in the appeal section over my Luke Combs video, so that's like 3 rounds into the whole dispute process. I want to see how that shakes out, and then kind of, figure out what to do about some of my other videos that are getting claimed. But for now, I just want to put out some more content, and it's going to be simpler, and there's going to be less edits, and maybe you guys won't even care. I have this podcast now called Free Country, and it is doing really well. Thanks, guys. It's like in the top 100 of music podcasts on iTunes already. And I'm really freewheeling and relaxed there, and maybe I'll try and bring some of that vibe into these videos on the channel for the next month or so. But there's going to be a few less edits and a lot less music in the videos. I don't know. I never know if I should double down and stay with the really nice, sleek, well-edited videos, or if I should do more what Fantano does and just turn on a camera and talk. But I'm trying to figure it out, okay? Trying to figure it out, and just bear with me for a little bit. I also want to say in that a thank you to my patrons for helping me kind of weather this transition. Those are people supporting me over on Patreon. If you support at the $3 or more level a month, you get a free episode of the podcast, a bonus episode each month. And I really appreciate it. You're helping me breathe just a little bit easier as I am leaving my job and trying to do this full time. So, with all that said, I want to give, speaking of money issues, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor for this video. It's Ridge Wallet. Ridge, as you guys know, have been sponsoring the channel for a while now. They're awesome. They make these kind of minimalist wallets that hold all your cards inside them. They sit in the front pocket. That's really my favorite thing about a Ridge wallet, is that it can sit in my front pocket and I don't have to worry about moving it from my back pocket when I'm going to go driving or something. They are RFID blocking. They've got this aluminum, and they have a money clip on the back, which is very nice. You can get 10% off your first order at ridgewallet.com/Grady. And all the links will be down in the description below. Thanks for sponsoring. Okay, so the point of today's video is Koe Wetzel and Aaron Watson. Two guys coming out of Texas that have the top 2 country albums right now, if you were to look on iTunes. And if you look all genre, Koe Wetzel has the #1 album. And man, guys, I gotta tell you, Koe Wetzel, there's probably been no artist more requested for me to cover than Koe Wetzel. Every single video, there's at least a dozen comments. They're like, you gotta check out Koe Wetzel, you gotta check out Koe Wetzel. And people love to tell me to check out people that they love, and I really appreciate you guys' recommendations. And generally, I don't kind of respond to any one recommendation, but you start to feel a critical mass of, wow, a lot of people are saying to cover this person, maybe I should check them out. And that's definitely what's been the case with Koe Wetzel. At the same time, he hasn't had any new music for me to cover. It's like, I listened to Austin when that was released in 2017 and there was some buzz around him, but if he puts out something new, I'll try and listen to it. And Koe Wetzel has done that. He has released this album, Harold Saul High. I guess it's themed around a high school. And I checked it out last night. It was my first real deep dive into Koe Wetzel's music. I've been following on Instagram for a few weeks now. He's funny. He has this kind of don't give a fresh attitude. And he's hilarious. He has this Insta where he's just laying on a big rock. And he kind of reminds me of Danny McBride. Or he reminds me of like a lax player. For a lot of reasons, he reminds me of a college bro. But this album's interesting. It was my first foray, except for the one or two Koe Wetzel songs I'd heard, into his music. And yeah, I wouldn't really call it country, per se. I would say it's much more like inspired by kind of 90s grunge and rock. There were times where it reminded me of Weezer in a way. And then there were other times it kind of reminded me of like Kip Moore or Eric Church, maybe crossed with some of these punkier Nirvana-ish elements. It gets very heavy and it's very explicit, and he's kind of a dark soul. But I so get why people like him. There were two real standouts on Harold Saul High to me, and they were a song called Ragweed and a song called Powerball. And in both cases, what I think he does really effectively is bring this sort of sentimental machismo to the forefront. Like, he kind of has this nostalgic way of looking at his present. Like, he's able to sort of step back and paint this whole picture almost like a little snow globe of cocaine. And I felt that on Ragweed a lot. He's looking at this girl saying he just wants her to love. He wants someone that loves ragweed like he does. And she's got that F me smile. I mean, there's a lot of, it's a pretty explicit record full of sort of references to cocaine and breakups, and he's down on himself, and he wants this girl to get what she deserves instead of him. There's a song called Love the Way You Hate Me. So there's a lot of maybe shame happening, and Koe sort of just throws it out there in this kind of angry, abrasive way. But then at the same time, the fact that he's throwing out some of these darker opinions about himself shows that he's dealing with them pretty open-handedly. So he's interesting. You know, I wasn't expecting this record at all. Normally when you guys are recommending people out of the Texas scene, it is people that are much more traditional, and this guy sounds like a kind of like a college frat rock band. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. At the same time, he's definitely not one of these guys like, you know, Flatland Cavalry or who's another Texas guy, like Aaron Watson, who we'll talk about in a second, where it's really amping up the fiddles and trying to get you two-stepping. This is like a headbanger. I want to play Guitar Hero when I hear a song like Powerball on this record. And I think that he's got an interesting way of writing, and I find the whole sort of phenomenon of him fascinating. I'm interested to know why you guys love him so much, because to me, I think that he is clearly really honest. He's clearly funny. I think maybe it's just his bravery in kind of how he presents himself, and he just is this sort of humorous character because he's so big, and maybe he has this larger-than-life honesty about him, and people just are connecting to his, as I said, DGAF attitude. I don't want to get demonetized for cursing. I mean, I don't personally relate to a lot of this stuff. You know, I'm not worried about unplanned pregnancies and hungover every day from, you know, too much alcohol and cocaine, but there's something really weird and interesting and cool about this guy in the country space from Texas making kind of like headbanging rock. I think what really I can say for sure that I like in this album is every song swells, sort of shamelessly. Some people have a real issue when bands go quiet, loud, quiet, loud. Everyone would make fun of the Lumineers when they did that. Everyone would make fun of Mumford when they did that. I don't get why people have an issue with that. I want my songs to swell. I want to be excited in a song. And I think pretty much every song on here starts in this sort of quiet place and gets louder, usually as he's getting angrier or feeling more intense emotions. So that's kind of my initial take on Harold Saul High. But there's sort of a bigger narrative that's happening around Koe than just what's in his music. And I think it's really happening with a lot of acts out of the Texas scene. And it's that they're not in the mainstream, and yet they're pulling mainstream numbers. And there is something very satisfying to many listeners about that, self included. It feels like this kind of underdog story, and it's fun to root for an underdog. It was fun to root for the Raptors to beat Golden State, even if you don't really have anything against Golden State. And I think similarly, there's all these guys that are coming out of Texas that are getting to be number one on the iTunes chart, and country radio listeners have no idea who they are. And so it's fun to root for Koe because it feels like not only are you supporting an underdog, you're also giving a middle finger to the system. And it's not like Koe is some paragon of traditionalism. So I think there's a lot happening just in terms of independence, and you're getting to be part of something, and clearly his fan base is taking off. And when I see that happening, I like to figure out why. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why for some people, but Koe, I think I kind of get it. I think I need to be, 10 years younger to really get it. But I have a few friends whose lives are a little messed up by addiction, so it doesn't seem as romantic as kind of this album makes it, but I get it. The other big album that came out today is Red Bandana from Aaron Watson. Aaron Watson is a guy that is somehow at the same time both this like independent Texas renegade who's had 1.5 kind of mainstream hits, and also he's kind of the sort of safe dad figure of Texas music. If you're in Nashville, you might think that Aaron Watson's a real outlaw renegade. If you're in Texas, you might think that Aaron Watson is as safe as like Keith Urban being an American Idol judge. It's interesting. I know that there are both sides of the conversation around him, but I think Aaron Watson's an incredibly difficult person to complain about unless you're really looking to complain, because his output is, on the whole, excellent, and it's independent, and it's fueled by himself and his fans' passion. And I think it always has kind of erred on the side of quality. I've really been on board for about 3 albums now, and I know his catalog goes way further back than that, but what Aaron does is care, and you feel it. Like this album, Red Bandana, is 20 songs. He wrote all of them himself. It's a freaking weird album. It's too long, but it has a beating heart. It absolutely does. Aaron's passion is so clear for being a family man, for being an entertainer, for caring about the craft of being a musician, and for getting down and sexy. I don't know. I think he values that side of what he puts out more maybe than me as a listener, and a lot of people, I don't feel like it's what he does best, but every album's got a few get down songs, and I don't know why they put out Run Wild Horses as a single when there were other ones that they could have done. But this album captures, I would say, earnestness and passion, and similarly to Koe Wetzel's album, I feel like I'm getting a really honest display of emotions. I would just say that Aaron experiences hope and the power of positive thinking a lot more than Koe. Maybe Koe is the power of negative thinking. It's interesting that their 2 albums came out the same day, because they are like the parable of the prodigal son, or of the 2 brothers, where there's the one that's really upstanding, the older one that's really upstanding, and then the younger one that wants to go party all his money away and drink away his whole inheritance and ends up eating out of the pig troughs. I'm like, oh, this is Koe and Aaron. this is the modern parable of the 2 brothers, and maybe Koe is the prodigal, and Aaron is gonna get jealous of him or something. Thanks for chasing me down that biblical rabbit hole. I think Aaron's album really shines in a few places, the first of which is the songwriting. Again, he wrote all of these songs himself. That's really cool to me. And The Ghost of Guy Clark is what starts off the album, and I think it's a tremendous song. And it's him planting his flag and basically making an argument of what he thinks the purpose of music is. So he's talking to this older ghost, and this old man that I guess we're led to believe is a ghost. And the guy says, I guess that's all right if it's all you've got to give. If that's all you've got to say in this one life you've got to live. There's no meaning in your melody, so predictable and weak. Wasted words and shallow rhymes, I'd rather hear a woman cuss me a blue streak. You see, the pencil to the pad is like the bullet to the gun. The pen is mightier than the sword if the words are forged from fire from the sun. Yet some do it for the fame, the fun, the money, and all the glory. Yet some do it for their weary soul and won't rest until they tell their story. You got to make them feel what you feel. Help them dream a dream and make them wonder. It's like catching lightning in a bottle. Make them smell the rain and hear the thunder. Let them taste the tears of joy or the bittersweet taste of sin. Find the passion in a 4-letter word or a Sunday morning amen. I mean, should we get that on the background of this channel? Should we get that mission statement up there? Because this is what Aaron Watson is starting off this album saying. He's saying, I want people to feel things, and I want to be honest, and I want to say what I think, and I want people to like it. And yet he's not in some harsh way condemning the people. He says, I guess it's all right if that's all you've got to give. He's not just condemning the bro country stars. But that's not him, and that's not what he wants to do. And he says, even on the next song, I've got a chip on my shoulder. And he wants to hustle, and he wants to make it. And he left the big label scene, and he wants to build what he's building on his own. I really related to this album in a way, maybe just because of the stage of life that I'm in, because a lot of people in Nashville don't get what this channel is, and they look at me as some kind of enemy. Why aren't you just talking about the artists that we're promoting? A lot of people sort of are annoyed that this is taking off, this kind of new way of talking about country music, and that I'm an unregulated figure. I'm just a dude. I'm literally just a dude that lives in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm not playing ball with the industry, even if I'm a little bit open to. And I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about the music, and a lot of people don't get me, which kind of motivates me more, and I want this to work. And so I really related to this album right off the bat. And there's so many songs on here that lyrically shine and demonstrate his love for music, and the music does the same thing. This is a fiddle lover's dream. Even, if you're loving the new John Party songs, the 2 that are out, you'll love this album because it's got thrilling fiddle all throughout it. Some people didn't love Kiss That Girl Goodbye, his first single, which, much like this album, was weird. But I really liked it and liked all the chances it took, and I think there are some rhythmic risks on this record, a lot of fiddle risks on this record, but then a lot of beauty as well. Songs like Heartstrings and Country Radio, a song that I was just ready to roll my eyes at, were completely gorgeous. I mean, Country Radio feels like the smash here to me, but there's real moments of beauty, like To Be the Moon is slow and gorgeous. Am I Amarillo? I think Trigger at Saving Country Music said he could see that being a new Amarillo by Morning for some listeners, and I can definitely see that. Blood Brothers is pure, earnest hopefulness. The closing track on this record is called 58, and it is a tribute to the 58 people who were killed at the Route 91 Harvest Festival in the Las Vegas shooting a few years ago. And it's a really just beautiful, simple tribute to them. He said, he basically says that. All through this record, what Aaron Watson is trying to capture is his passion, is his desire to be a good lover and husband and performer, and generally I think he wants to communicate that he tries. And there's 20 songs on here to represent his 20 years in the industry, and it's a little unwieldy. I would cut 5 of them and have a tighter album, but I really respect it. I like it. I like that he took a swing and that it's alive. This whole album is alive. So it's cool, man, to see these 2 guys coming and rocking the boat from outside of Nashville. And country music listeners are paying attention. Right now, while we're all worried about the Get Up, and everyone in Nashville is trying to embrace this as the cool new wedding dance song for your aunt to dance to. Like, there's people really actually capturing the imaginations of young people, and they're doing it with their music, not through gimmicks, not through all the kind of big Nashville machine marketing efforts, but they're doing it just by being cool and building their own fan bases. And I love to see that. How do you not root for that, So Koe, Aaron, good work on these albums. I think Aaron's is definitely more my style, and it's a country record, and Koe's is a rock record. It's listed as country, but I wouldn't really call it that. But I'm glad I got to finally check him out, and let me know what you guys think of this stuff. And yeah. So let me know what you guys think of all this stuff, and thanks for checking out this video. More stuff on the way. Bye.